Selain melakukan kerjasama internal dengan sesama anggota, ASEAN membangun kerjasama eksternal, salah satunya dengan Amerika Serikat. Bagaimana misi Amerika untuk ASEAN di mata Senator Amerika Tammy Duckworth? Berikut ini cuplikan wawancara produser Lapangan CNN Indonesia Fina Nabilah dengan Senator Amerika Tammy Duckworth.
Dalam keketuaan ASEAN tahun ini, Indonesia kedatangan Senator Amerika Serikat Lada Tammy Duckworth. Senator Duckworth lahir pada 12 Maret 1968. Politikus Amerika yang juga mantan Letkol Angkatan Darat itu menjabat Senator Amerika untuk Illinois sejak 2017. Ia kehilangan kedua kakinya ketika helikopter Angkatan Darat yang dikendarai ditembak jatuh oleh pemberontak di Irak pada 2004. Duckworth tetap bertugas di militer dan pensiun dengan pangkat Letnan Kolonel sebelum menjadi asisten sekretaris di Departemen Urusan Veteran Presiden Barack Obama. Duckworth adalah wanita Thai Amerika pertama dan wanita pertama berkebutuhan khusus yang terpilih dalam Kongres. Duckworth adalah wanita Asia Amerika kedua yang menjabat dalam Senat Amerika setelah Hirono dan sebelum Kamala Harris. Indonesia bukan negara yang asing bagi Senator Duckworth. Sempat tinggal di Jakarta selama sekitar 7 tahun, ia masih fasih berbahasa Indonesia. Pada 24 Februari 2023, Senator Duckworth datang ke Indonesia dan secara khusus membahas soal misi ASEAN dan Indonesia dengan CNN Indonesia.
Salah satu kerjasama eksternal ASEAN adalah United States Mission to ASEAN, sebuah ambisi besar negara Amerika Serikat dengan negara-negara ASEAN. Dan saat ini Indonesia kedatangan Senator Tammy Duckworth yang membawa visi ASEAN. Dan CNN Indonesia TV mendapatkan kesempatan spesial untuk berbicara langsung dengan Senator Duckworth. Selamat sore, Senator Duckworth. Good evening, Senator Duckworth.
Baik-baik saja, terima kasih.
Terima kasih. Terima kasih atas kesempatan yang diberikan kepada kami CNN Indonesia TV untuk membahas ASEAN Chairmanship 2023.
Ya, saya pikir bahwa kepemimpinan Indonesia akan bagus sekali untuk ASEAN karena Indonesia sudah menjadi negara yang pimpinan di Asia Tenggara.
Yes. Yeah. So before we talk about the mission, the ambitious goal, we would like to recall your memory about our beloved country.
Yes.
So what do you miss and miss the most about our beloved country in Indonesia here?
Well, my happiest childhood years were spent here in Indonesia. I lived all over Southeast Asia, but this was where I had the most stability in my life, and I just loved everything about being in Indonesia. I loved the food. I learned, Japanese dance a little bit. My friends were here. I just remember being in a country that was so diverse and being surrounded by so many people who were just excited and looking towards the future. And so I'm really happy to be able to come back.
Yes, there are a lot of changes ranging from the transportation, the skyscraper here, and also as a developing country, we are now hosting the ASEAN Chairmanship 2023, and we would like to know more about the mission you have been facing incredible experience as a woman, as a mother, and then tell us more about your mission here, about the ASEAN Chairmanship here in Indonesia.
Yeah, well, I recently won re-election to the United States Senate, so I have a fresh 6 years in front of me. And I also just recently, after waiting 6 years, joined the Foreign Relations Committee, and I am the chairwoman of the International Organizations Subcommittee. And I want to take on the role of supporting Southeast Asia and increasing America's involvement in Southeast Asia. And there's no better place to do it than through ASEAN as a single point, as a place where we can work together as a partner to increase America's involvement in this region economically, socially, education. And Indonesia has been such a leader in the region that I thought, this is the best year to come to launch this effort on my part in order to partner with our colleagues here in Indonesia.
Yeah, there are a lot of sectors that we will discuss in this chairmanship, and you've been mentioned also about the inclusivity of women and also the education, the social thing, the economic growth here. So, what would you bring about the specific sectors in this ASEAN Chairmanship 2023?
Well, the role of women is very important. Women's literacy is incredibly important. In fact, studies have shown that if the mother in a family is literate, then the children will grow up literate, much more so than if only the father was literate. And so I think Indonesia, being a country that values education and has always made education available to girls as much as to boys, I think truly understands the power that education has to elevate people in a society. And I think this is a critically important part of the Indonesian mission as leader of ASEAN, to really spread this idea of making education available on a global scale.
One of the challenges that our foreign minister mentioned in the first foreign minister meeting held on February this year, we will face 3 challenges. First, in global. We know that the geopolitical things, and then the challenges also coming from the region itself and the internal itself. So how do you address that challenges, and how do we consider your visit here about the vision of ASEAN 2023?
Well, I think that one of the advantages of ASEAN with those challenges is its neutrality. ASEAN is neutral, and ASEAN is about the 10 nations plus all of the partner nations working together. And I think that neutrality makes it an organization that is best suited to address all of those challenges. Because as ASEAN moves forward to work on women and girls, or working on food insecurity, or working on bringing an end to the situation in Myanmar, all of those are done with ASEAN neutrality, because ASEAN is not taking sides. ASEAN is simply saying, we're going to work with people who make the lives of people around the world better. Those who are suffering, the marginalized people, we're going to make sure that we represent them as we do everybody else. And then we're not, and ASEAN neutrality means that America can come in and work through ASEAN, with ASEAN, to reach all the member countries to grow economic cooperation.
So speaking of cooperation, Senator Duckworth, we are hosting this chairmanship with the theme ASEAN Matters, the epicentrum of growth. So how do you see about this jargon, this theme, and how do you put this cooperation between United States and Indonesia as a chairmanship? About this business?
I think it's a very appropriate theme, because the Indo-Pacific is the region of growth. If you look on a global scale at where things are the most dynamic, it's here in the Indo-Pacific region, and in particular in the Southeast Asian region. The United States, after COVID, has really faced an understanding that we need to fix our supply chain issues. Well, there's no better place to grow more ecosystems for manufacturing, especially in things like electric vehicles, than here in the Indo-Pacific region.
The energy transition is also. I would like to ask specifically, because Indonesia is a familiar country, as you had been living here, if I'm not mistaken, like 7 years. Which region that you see the most potential in order to increase or to strengthen the cooperation between the United States and also with Indonesia and in ASEAN region also?
Well, I think that's the advantage of Indonesia, is because there's so many regions, each with its own strengths that it can bring to the table. Obviously, Java with Jakarta, with the people. This is a very international, a global city, but then you have places where there are more resources. If you look at the places around the world where there are resources for green energy and moving towards the future, battery manufacturing, you're going to look to the outer islands. I think that Indonesia is also a place where we need to focus on preserving the environment, fixing some of the problems that we have when it comes to exploitation of natural resources. But I think that is the strength of Indonesia, is because it is so diverse, because there are strengths in all different parts of Indonesia that because of all that, as Indonesia leads, it can really touch and connect with other countries around the world that may not be as developed as Jakarta is, but you understand the challenges that everybody faces.